Hello, this is Deanna from Deanna's Permaculture Paradise, checking in. I'm going to talk about my worm farm today. Recently, my mom and I were talking about how when we grow our greenhouse plants, we want to, have a marketing scheme that talks about how we use natural fertilizers. And other people, when they do that, use natural chicken manure and such, but we have vermicompost. So I'm really going to work on actually harvesting and using my vermicompost, which is the worm castings, which is the worm poop, that after they eat your compost and stuff, their excrement becomes very good fertilizer, and you can use it directly on your garden, or you can make a worm tea, and I will do that a different day. But I have ignored these since they were in my house. I kept them all winter long on the back porch, holes drilled in the bottom, put inside another tub to catch the leachate so I could dump that out. The leachate is not good. It can be toxic to plants, so I just dump that around trees or whatever, not my, fine plants. That's what goes through the compost and leaches out of the bottom. It's not when you make the compost tea. So that there's a difference there. If you need to look it up, leachate is what you want to look up. So they've been sitting over here since we moved over a month ago. I haven't really done much with them. I have thrown a little bit of new compost and kitchen scraps and bedding in here, but I really want to harvest the worm castings and see how they're doing and all that. So recently someone told me a good way to try to harvest them, because some of them stay mixed in with the compost. How do you get them out of there? There's different techniques, but I'm going to try this one technique. So let's open it up. This is what one looks like. I had fed this one earlier, and I used the shredded paper for the bedding. Same here. This one actually has, I don't know if you can see, it has a beet growing in it. So I put a beetroot. No, you can't see that. I put a beetroot in there, and the beet's growing. That's probably just a piece of beetroot. I'm gonna get some gloves on and take off this fairly good bedding that's in here. These are my worm gloves I use. Nice long sleeves, reusable. So I'm going to use a lid and just take out like the nice shredded paper. Oh, you can see, I don't know if you can, but there are some worms kind of at the surface. They don't like light. So this concept I'm going to do, oh, this is like perfect composted stuff. The technique I'm going to use is dig them up, put them in a filter, or this, I had these that I put plants in. They're normally this size, but it wouldn't fit in, so I cut it so I can, like, Mom say I Deanna Guyvered it, to fit. So the concept is you put the good worm stuff in here that you want to harvest. The worms are in it. You put the new bedding down below, and then when the worms are exposed to light, I don't know if it's sunny enough here, but you leave the lid off, and the worms like, get away from the light, and they go through this and down into the new bedding. So, never done this before, but I've been trying to figure out how to do this, and I'm just going to pick it up with my hands because I don't want to use a shovel or anything. It's kind of wet, but here you can see there's worms in there jiggling around. There's going to be lots of little babies, but these are good composters. They're red wigglers. So I'm just going to set them in here. This is a little too wet. I probably need to put some better drainage holes. That would be a good time to do that. I don't know if I'm going to. Yeah, look at all those guys. Hello, I'm sorry to disturb you. Sorry to disturb you. You could leave some of this in the bottom. I think I'm going to need both of these for one thing. Some may escape, but this is a lot of good fertilizer. And this shouldn't smell. I wish you had smell-o-vision. It just smells kind of like earthy dirt. But if you have like noxious, rotten smell, like, then you know it's way too wet. This is probably, I mean, there is nothing, no food left in here. They have eaten it all except this stick. They don't really like sticks. Sorry guys. So I'm not gonna rinse this out or anything. And if they're not happy, they'll go out of the bottom and they'll escape. And I'm gonna share some with my friend. She wanted to start a farm. These probably need to expand. Supposedly they double their production, or they double their numbers in like 3 months. So I have some shredded paper here. People say you're supposed to use newsprint or something, but I have shredded paper. So I'm using what I have. If I can shred up some newsprint in there, I will. I don't want to use all this up. I'm going to put some of the already used or moist bedding. They don't like it too dry, but since it's been so wet in there, I think it'll be wet enough. Then I'm going to put some really nasty compost that does smell rotten, because I've been waiting to redo this before I put it in. Ooh, man, that stinks bad. I'll eat it though. But this is normally what you might want to put in. Kitchen scraps, cut up flowers. I don't put a lot of onions and potatoes because, yeah, they'll start growing. Greens, tea bags. There's a Chiquita banana thing in there. That won't get eaten, but if you don't rip it off, it's not going to hurt. I'm just giving each bin about the same thing, so I'm looking through this lovely grossness. Now this stuff smells, but once they eat it, it won't. I probably won't put that corn cob, but the corn husks. And yeah, this has leachate. So this water in here, that's leachate. And that's not good. Okay, that stunk really bad. Okay. So, to prevent like gnats and rodents and other things, if you cover it up with a little bit of like potting mix or some soil, or I just like to cover it back up with a little bit of the bedding, and then like when I have it inside, then I didn't get as many gnats in the back porch. So these worms, they're not going to like the light, supposedly. So I guess I'm just going to stick them in here. Kind of spread it out a little. And hopefully they'll go towards the darkness, but I don't think this is going to work that great. I think it's too thick. So I think I'm going to get another tray just to store some in, or another tub, and do it in a little bit of layers. Other ways of doing it, they said, you know, scrape all the bedding to one side, the old, you know, the old mucky stuff, put new bedding on the other side, and food, and they should migrate over, because there really was no food left in here except the paper, which they do eat. But they are, I see some of them moving. They're trying to get out of the light. I probably need to put in a little brighter light and they'd go faster. I probably won't wait for all that to show you. I just wanted to show you the technique. And really, I've had this bin up to here, and then it goes down to where it was. All compacted, perfect worm manure, basically. That's great for your garden, and you can put around individual plants. It's not so hot, they call it, that it burns the plant. But the most effective is going to make the tea. And I think it's called, well, compost tea is when you just use composted, you know, naturally composted. But worm tea, I think it's called, or vermi tea. So I'm going to keep working on this, get a couple more of these bins just to put the worms in, get a bag for my friend to share with her, and put a little food in it for them. Probably a bin. This has holes in it, not very big holes on the side because I didn't want gnats getting in there. They can escape out of here, but I really didn't have, if they're happy they won't escape. But if you have gnats and stuff, you can put a screen, like a thin screen. You can drill bigger holes and put a screen and you get better airflow. But this is what I used. I had these tubs, drilled holes in the very bottom. Then when I put it in my inside, I put it in another tub that does not have holes, so the leech could go in there. But now these two are stuck together. So when I figured that one out, this one I put like a brick, or you know, I think I had bricks, but it was really heavy to keep it elevated so that they wouldn't get stuck together. When I redo this one, I'm gonna try to get them unstuck. So that's where I'm starting with the worm composting. This is a good size for, you know, eating up your kitchen scraps. I have a dry compost pile that's for like big stuff, like watermelon rinds and, you know, that kind of thing is a little bit too big to put in here. But if you chopped it up or shredded it up, but who really wants to do all that? But if you were trying to like make ongoing fertilizer, and you know they're working for you, they're making the fertilizer, then you could do that, like shred up bigger, you know, pieces of food. But yeah, the woody type or the thicker, like stalks and stuff, is the last thing they compost or that they eat. So that's Red Wigglers composting at Deanna's Permaculture Paradise, which is also what we do for growing is New Hope Farms. That's our business name. See you later.